I could feel the voice getting bigger. I was
Yeah.
always known for a very small voice, and that in that repertory, you could hear me. My mentor was Alfredo Kraus, so I modeled my repertoire after him.
You had like
Sort of
you had a
technique.
relationship with him?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Back in the day.
amazing.
Yeah, he
What a
was amazing.
legacy.
He was fantastic to me. I mean, we had
Wow.
when I was in Chicago, every year he was there, he would take me aside and we'd have lessons. It was awesome. He really
Incredible.
with him, yeah, I found my high voice with him. And it doesn't work with everybody, I have to say, because I've seen him do master classes and stuff, and it was like you just didn't get it. But I had like a breakthrough in a master class with him at the opera center, and in front of my colleagues, and it was pretty cool because I just couldn't get that top, and all of a sudden it just clicked for me in front of him, and it was really really cool. So, am I? Where am I?
Gregory.
What's up?
I always when I hear that, I always think of Music Man. You know, Music Man when he's like he comes into the liver and he's like Gregory, Marcellus Washburn.
How you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
We're getting ready for some thunder boomers. I hear just
Yeah, it sounds like
in the
it.
background here.
I wonder how Songbird's gonna go tonight.
Yeah, probably a little wet.
Yeah, we've done it before.
Songbird, you wet songbird.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did you get in
I
some
don't know.
holes?
I got an 18. It was fantastic. It
18.
was so beautiful today.
You play a
So
lot of golf
beautiful.
when you're on the road?
I try to, when I'm in the States, I can usually bring my clubs with me. Yeah, but in Europe it's tough.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like to rent clubs. It's there. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
It takes you 9 holes to get used to the clubs, and then you can be wasted 9 holes. Anyway, no, but it's good to get out. I like to get out and walk and unfortunately here at the Leatherstocking, which is at the Otasaga Hotel, it's on the way to the town. It's really not a walking course. There's a lot of up and downs, a lot of long from
Yeah.
green to tee. So they make you take a cart, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's still beautiful. Man, oh man, it was beautiful today.
Are golf courses as ubiquitous in Europe as they are here?
Um, in what way? And
Oh, you know, there are there as many?
yeah,
there's a golf course
no.
in every town here. You know.
No, I mean it's pretty popular depending on where you are. You can find in the last maybe 20 years, it's really become very popular.
Yeah.
And depending where you are, you can find some pretty decent ones. Yeah, absolutely. They're the ones that are great are the ones that were established back in the 20s and 30s, and they're really very kind of American type courses with the oak trees and stuff, and it's really really pretty. My buddy and I, who you'll meet next week, he's coming from Chicago, Jim Yarbrough. 3 years ago, we did a trip to Scotland, and that is spectacular. Just the scenery is magnificent,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's all of the courses, not all of them, most of them right on the sea, and these Scottish links courses that are right on the sea. You go out for 9, 10, 11 holes and then come back, and it's just neat, just amazing.
Is Jim in the business or is he a regular
He is
person?
he is he is a regular person, but he's a retired school teacher. We went
Ah,
to university together, yeah, and he taught music for 33 years. He sang in Chicago Symphony Chorus for quite a while. He last 4 or 5 years of his tenure there, he was Margaret Hillis's assistant.
yeah.
So he's not he doesn't know the opera business, but he
No.
knows the music business. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, he
I
covers it.
love I love having like people like friends who aren't necessarily in the industry because we all know how incestuous and weird this business can be, and
Sure.
like frankly like we need healthy breaks.
Exactly. No, and I think at the beginning when you'd have people in the audience that you knew, it was kind of nerve wracking.
Yeah.
But now my performance level goes way up when I know there's somebody in the audience that is there supporting me.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. I don't know if you heard the story yesterday, but I forget what I was doing at Forza or Rotello, one of the two. And Jim likes to come to rehearsals, and then he sees a couple of performances. And during the rehearsals, he goes, "Man, you go on your knees a lot." I go, I go, I know. And I, in the performances, as well as I do, you can do it in performances. You got the adrenaline going, and
Yeah.
you don't really care. You just do it, and then the next day you can't get out of bed.
Yeah,
you
man.
know?
I
So
got I
he
got
said,
advice early on. Always take the knee pads.
yeah, and I used to, but I don't anymore because I gotta get used to it because I can't wear them in my costumes. It's too confining.
Yeah. When we have
But anyway,
those weird little period knee short knee pants or whatever.
yeah, there you go, there
You
you
look
go.
like Pinocchio.
But yeah, but so he was counting them. He said one performance he sat out there. Came backstage at the end. He went 19 times. 19 times on your knees. I said,
So I'm guessing
wow.
he's not 20 years old because I mean that's a count that only people of a
I'm
certain age
telling you,
keep, myself included.
exactly.
Ooh,
I'm
that's a lot.
I'm definitely 10 is enough for me.
Yeah.
Way too many. Like in this show, the same thing. I'm kneeling down a lot, and what the trick is trying to get up. So you don't look like an old man.
Dude, I've noticed that the floor just gets further away from me every single year. It just seems further away.
That's right. And you keep asking for chairs. Can I have a chair, please?
That should
Yeah.
be a good spot for a chair sitting time, wouldn't it?
A chair would be really
Just
good here.
casual, just sit. Oh,
His
okay.
aria is really long. I'm gonna have to sit down.
I know that like when I only started working in Europe. I had my first job in Madrid, where we met there in Madrid in
Yeah, yeah.
2018. And man, I just I came up with sort of the long hard way in the American industry. I started out really small, almost community opera, and really didn't find my footing till about 5 or 6 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And but I was always in the country, and phone call away, or I always knew people. But when I went to Europe, I always felt super isolated and like lonely. And always when I go there, like the first couple of weeks are super hard. And I recently had a job in Stuttgart, it was awesome. I did Nixon there, and I brought my nephew.
Oh,
He's 20. At the time he was like 22, 23 years old. So
uh-huh.
he's a grown man. But I found the experience so much more fulfilling because I had somebody with me to share those experiences. Do you find that that's the
Absolutely,
case?
absolutely. And this is going back a long time. This is 35 years ago. My debut in Nice in '86,
Hmm.
and I had never been to Europe. Well, I've been to Europe before, but I'd never been performing in Europe before. So I went over to Nice, and everybody goes, go get there a day early because you can adjust and everything. Okay, good. So I got there and I got to my hotel, and I was so intimidated. I didn't leave my hotel for 2 days. I I didn't know what to do, and I was waiting for
That was
rehearsals
before
there
Google too, and
before.
Google Maps. You had to just
Oh,
read
yeah,
and talk.
yeah, exactly. But in '86, there was nothing. I
Nothing,
mean,
man.
there wasn't even CNN.
Phone cards. That's all.
That's it. That was it. That's right. Sprint. I think we had Sprint at the time. Oh my God, it was horrible. But I finally found a refuge at McDonald's. Where
Yeah.
I thought, oh, I know what I'm getting here because I didn't read French, I didn't do anything. I just walked around and I was afraid to go in anywhere, so I didn't eat anywhere. So I,
Yeah.
ate at McDonald's. Terrible. But anyway, thank God, after a few days, I finally went to my first rehearsal, and there were a couple of Vincent Cole was the other tenor in the
Oh,
in the.
really?
So Vincent was there, Barbara Hendricks was there, so it was really thank God. And so you're able to experience the city. And but that's exactly right. Being by yourself is tough. It's a lifestyle that people don't really understand, that we're traveling by ourselves. And if you get a good cast and you have time together, and you sort of are close, you go to lunch together and stuff like that, that's great, that's fantastic. But when rehearsal's over and you go home to your apartment, I- what do? I watch sports. I'm a
Yeah.
sports fanatic. I got MLB, NBA, NFL. I'll watch anything that's on. So I'll come home and I'll just watch baseball now. It's my hobby, and get out and play golf during the day, and that's how I spend my time. And studying is, people go, you practice every day, right? No.
I mean, I warm up every day, but
I, I I I yell a lot at the TV. That's maybe
yeah,
that's it. I don't
that's
on the golf course. Four! That's about all I do, you know.
well, it must be nice to
So
be in a place like Cooperstown with some. I mean, it's like baseball heaven. I don't know boo squat about baseball, man. Now I played
well,
football for 7 years. I don't know nothing about this, but it is.
really,
I mean, it's a religion up here, boy.
it's kind of a crazy thing. If and to the Hall of Fame, I think it's like 20 years ago, maybe a little 18 years ago. My father-in-law, when he retired, my wife and my mother-in-law and I took him on a retirement trip, and he's a huge baseball fan. He was passed away a couple of years ago, but we went here. First stop, we from Rochester to Cooperstown. We just had a ball. We stayed at the Otesaga and went to the Hall of Fame, and it was just it really it's like Mecca. Oh, Babe Ruth. Oh, it's fantastic. We had a great time, and then we went to Boston and took in Fenway Park and had a game there, and stayed at the Boston Inner Harbor or the harbor in Boston. Inner Harbors in Baltimore. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, baseball is kind of in my blood. I've always been a huge baseball fan.
Yeah.
And
Is this your first time at Glimmerglass? Have you been here before?
no, it's my first time at Glimmerglass. Yeah, and it's kind of funny. Francesca asked me like a year and a half ago. She's been trying to get me to Washington Opera, and I've never been able to do it. It's always been busy. But
Good
so she
problems, right?
finally, yeah, I guess she floated this idea about a year and a half ago, I guess. And
Yeah.
she said, we don't know what we're going to do, but we want to do something in summer because we're going to have to cancel this summer and blah blah blah. So I said, heck yeah, that'll be fun. I know Eric came here. Eric Owens was here, and she told me you were coming, and Latanya and Rayanne. I had never heard of Rayanne, but I looked her up on YouTube, and I went, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
wow, that's a voice. Holy cow, we got quite a cast here, so it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's a fun experience. It's like camp, opera camp. It's you
Yeah.
know, it's what I was in Chautauqua. I did Chautauqua a couple of years back in the '80s, so it brings back memories of those days.
Yeah.
So, but the level is really high.
Yeah.
I was very, and I don't want to say I was surprised because in Francesca does really good work, and she always is very very well thought of, and people come and work for her. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. But to do a outdoor 90 minutes, I kept thinking, I don't know about 90-minute Trovatore. I don't know.
Hey,
But
it
it's
covers the
working.
bases, man. I mean,
Exactly.
the story is almost clearer when it's shorter.
No kidding. No kidding. Don't have all the stuff that
You need a
doesn't.
flow
You
chart
don't
anyway to get this story. So,
exactly. We got rid of the first act. You don't need it anyway. It's not a big deal.
um,
Backstory is never important. Look it
yeah,
up. Google it. Yeah.
I think we were talking the other day, and you sort of mentioned that, and I've just know this from knowing who you are that your career has happened primarily like in Europe, right? Is that where things
Yeah.
really picked up for you, and it was a
Yeah.
place where you kind of found an artistic home?
Yeah. I know. This is a long career. It's just 43 years for me,
Yeah,
man. So and yeah. So the very first part of the career was at the Lyric Opera, their apprentice program back when it was called the Lyric Opera School.
yeah.
And so that was a long time ago. I was there for 4 years, and then I did compromisarios in the U.S. and some leading roles in some regional theaters back in the '80s. And in the late '80s, I had an opportunity, as I said, to go to Nice, and then I was invited to the Rossini Opera Festival in 1992, and that kind of started my career as a Rossini tenor, which sort of existed at the time, and because Rossini, well, there was that Rossini Renaissance at that time, the late '80s and early '90s,
Is that when old
and
Rocky Blake was killing it back then?
yeah,
Yeah.
Rocky and Chris and Bruce Ford and me and what was his name, Raul Jimenez. So those are the five tenors that were singing all the Rossini stuff. This is before Juan Diego. Anyway, this is pre Juan Diego, right? So this is the early '90s, and I basically did Rossini and a bunch of Puritanis. So Puritani was my big role at the time, Arturo. I sang the high F, so that was, my calling card. He sings the high F. Wow.
Hired.
Anyway, exactly. You got the F, you got it. He sucks the rest of the role, but the F was fantastic. But anyway, that was sort of a calling card for me, and again, Rossini, and then mixed in some Donizetti and Bellini. I was a bel canto singer until, geez, the early 2000s, like 2005, 2006, and then it started to change. But this is all in Europe. I mean, really, pretty much everything in Europe. I sang Puritani at the Met in 2007, and that was my only job from, gosh, the late 90s until 2010, 2011. I didn't sing the States at all. I was
Wow.
in Europe almost the whole time, or yeah, with the whole time. Anyway, so I changed the repertory, kind of. I got about 2007, 2008. I thought, this stuff isn't working anymore. It's just not me ananymore.
Familiar
It's
with that.
Yeah, no, and the voice is. I could feel the voice getting bigger. I was always known for a very small voice, and in that repertory, and you could hear me. My mentor was Alfredo Kraus, so I modeled my repertoire after him, and my
You had like
sort of
you had a
technique.
relationship with him?
Yeah,
That's
back in the
amazing.
yeah, he
What a
was amazing.
legacy.
He was fantastic to me. I mean, we had
Wow.
when I was in Chicago, every year he was there, he would take me aside, and we'd have lessons, and it was awesome. He really,
Incredible.
with him, yeah, I found my high voice with him, and it doesn't work with everybody, I have to say, because I've seen him do master classes and stuff, and it was like you just didn't get it. But I had like a breakthrough in a master class with him at the Opera Center, and in front of my colleagues, and it was pretty cool because I just couldn't get that top, and all of a sudden it just clicked for me in front of him, and it was really really cool. So it was a big breakthrough for me. Anyway, he taught me that the high notes, and I follow him a lot, being with the phrasing and his coloration of things. I learned how to color the voice, without just being boring. Anyway, so that was
That's what
really
I'm
a
still working on,
great
brother.
it's always
That's
a work in
tough.
progress. Let me tell you, it's always a work in progress, because the first time you do something, and is your first time singing what's his name?
I did it twice before, but I didn't have like 10 performances. There were, I had like 6 performances once and four other times. So it's like my
Okay.
12th or 13th, performance really.
Yeah, yeah. It's as I said, and of course, as the voice grows, you find different ways to do things, and you take more chances. When the more experience that you have, you will take more chances and be okay with it,
The
and usually it
confidence
works
that
out.
comes with that. I don't. That's that you have to have the confidence to be able to make one of those like not even risky choice, but I find
You know,
myself like leaning on the heft of my sound, even
yeah,
in moments when you wouldn't think shouldn't be that way. But backing off and really, and that's one thing I noticed that you do a lot, is that
right,
you really the pianissimos and that sort of transparent sound is there,
yeah,
with always knowing that that you could just stick the cables to it and really kill
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But
and
there's
that's
always this sort of like delicate part of that end of it that's really
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. Thank you. That's from the bel canto technique. Um, and I've been very blessed to be able to continue that, being able to sing in that way, because it's important especially when you sing these kinds of roles. I mean, even Otello, the first act duet with Desdemona, you got to be able to sing soft. Otherwise, it's not. I mean, it's okay, but if you can sing softly and delicately, you portray this character better, and I'm all about that. But going back to taking risks, um, this is maybe 20 years ago, and I was singing in Pesaro in the Rossini Festival. And, because people kept saying, every review that I got he's got a nice voice. It's very small, the question was never how was it. It was, can you hear me? You know, that's always the first question, right? So, when I found this soft pianissimo that I could actually carry, my wife was in the audience. She said, and I was marking, and she said, Why don't you use that voice when you sing?" I said, "I know you would never be able to hear me." She said, "You hear it perfectly.
Yes.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Take a risk, do it." So I did. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, now you got all this contrast happening.
Yeah.
You can sing it big, and then you can sing it nice and piano, and then and the contrast makes it so much more interesting, not only for yourself but for the audience,
Yeah.
especially for the audience.
Because I mean, I know that like you can blast it out, and after a little while, it's just boring. I kind of tune out, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. And because after 15 minutes of just boom, 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 you kind of think, does he know what he's saying?
Uh,
You know, does he know is he relating to the person that's on stage with him or
yeah.
not?
Right.
It's really, I'm all about the drama, and I know you are too. You're a fantastic actor, and I will say that your performance in Dead Man Walking, I mean, we were just all flooding with tears. It was
Thanks, man.
spectacular, spectacular.
That was
And
a special
I
production, man. That was amazing.
it was funny because Joyce and I have known each other since she started, and I was there to see Joyce, and I was so blown away by you. It was incredible. It was incredible. So, bravo,
Oh, thanks, man.
and great job in this too. You're really, you have the makings of a Verdi baritone, and I think you should really, stay with this, stay with the Verdi stuff. It's just the right voice for it. Really,
Yeah.
you got all the top and a really full sound in the middle. It's great,
Yeah. It's
fantastic.
always it's. I've always been like the way my career always went. I always sang what they would hire me to sing because I didn't have any choices. I mean, I came up
Everybody,
so
for
hard,
sure.
and like I just couldn't get arrested in here. And I mean, I've noticed in Europe, like it's a lot easier for me to get work there than it is here. I don't have, I mean, I
Well,
have my companies here, but like it's a different experience over there, and I don't know that it's a different kind of I don't know if it's respect or what, but it feels different when I work over there than
they're more honed in. That's what I would say. They're more honed in on more details about the voice. They'll hear. I'm talking about not just artistic directors and general directors. I'm talking about the public. They're very honed in on what they like and what they don't like, and appropriateness to a role and a non-appropriateness to a role. Um, I was pigeonholed because it's really strange. When we had the Rossini Renaissance in the 90s, 80s, and 90s, nobody got pigeonholed into Rossini except the tenors. And it's really true. They, oh, I think he wants to sing Rigoletto. Oh my God. Oh, come on. You're a Rossini tenor. What's wrong with you?
yep,
Wait a minute.
yep,
Time out here. We have to be able to expand. Juan Diego has been going through that for 15 years,
yeah,
trying to sing other stuff. And he's ready. He's appropriate. It's ready for him to, but he's just been, just like everybody else, pigeonholed into that one repertoire. For me to break out of that bel canto thing, let me tell you something. When I when I was announced as Arrigo in I Vespri Siciliani in the Torino Opera 2011, the administration in Torino were getting phone calls saying, "Is there another Gregory Kunde?" Because it couldn't be the one that we know singing this part. No, no, no. He's, oh my God, what a mistake. What's wrong with you? God, that's horrible. He's just going to spit. Anyway,
yep.
it went very well. I was, again, that's a risk. It was a
Yeah.
huge risk because I got to that point. It was like 2008, 2009. Again, I said before, it just didn't feel right. And I was ready to stop and start teaching because I really didn't think there was a future. In the back of my mind, you kept hearing, you have nothing more to do. You're not going to go any further than that.
Yeah.
you're not even going to be a full lyric. You're going to be a bel canto tenor. So that's in the back of my mind. So now I have John Andrea Nozeda saying, "You're going to be perfect for this part. We need you to come and we want you to sing this bass free with us." So I said, "What do I have to lose? If I scrap on the stage, I had a great career, and I'm going to
Yeah,
go teach.
fine.
Fantastic. Okay." But I did my best in studying it and used the voice that I had always used. It had just grown, and in 2011 I was 56 years old.
Yeah.
And Kraus, when I was 25, told me, "You're never going to know what your voice can really do until you're about 50, 51 years old." And I thought, so what
Well,
do I do for 25 years?
I mean, when I'm almost dead, fucking old
Good
man.
luck. Good luck. You know. And but he was absolutely right.
Yeah.
It started to grow, and the voice just got bigger, and I didn't do anything to make that happen.
Yeah.
It just I found this part of the voice that I had never been brave enough to use, and it was like I've been driving a Ferrari in fourth gear, and you got two more gears to go.
Yeah.
I never got it. I never even got it to
But
fifth
just
gear.
where are they? Are they like?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're like over here. Yeah, come on. So they got five and six. I experimented with five, and every time I did five back in 10 years before that, I thought, oh, that's too big. I'm going to hurt
yeah,
myself. So okay, back off. So that
yeah.
so now I got to sing Vespery, right? So this is Verdi, and now it doesn't feel like it's like it feels really right,
Yeah.
fifth gear. Now and I can make a bigger sound than that. Oh my God.
What's this
It's
other
like,
one down here?
whoa. Anyway, so it really worked out well. And the next year, worse than Vespri, I was asked to sing Otello at La Fenice
The
in
killer,
Venice.
the
Yeah,
tenor
well,
killer.
it's supposedly the last Verdi role that you should sing.
It's the Rigoletto of tenor roles.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was the second one, the real one anyway. So then they announced Otello, and that was it. Like the internet blew up. What? You got it. Anyway, and that went well too. So anyway, we've just been just having fun. I mean, since 2011, it's just been, and it's been 10 years of
Yeah.
blessings. Just having a heck of a lot of fun. Keep singing.
That was. I mean, I had a
Having
similar
fun.
sort of breakthrough when I started studying with Ron Rains, and
Oh wow!
yeah, he's my voice teacher. Man,
No
just
kidding!
changed my whole game.
Bravo!
Yeah, and it was all about for him. What really, it's a constant work in progress. It's been about 6 years now, and the breath is what really changed things for me, because it gave, you were talking about having the freedom and the confidence to be able to make these choices. And
Yeah,
the problem was I always felt like I was like starving, or I couldn't get there, I couldn't support it, and I felt this clench. And I don't know if it was him that told me that Krauss said that you breathe in the back and you sing in front. Is that something that comes from him, or?
yeah. Well, he always explained it to me that, and I've seen him in master classes also. He's got. I never think of anything from here down. He doesn't believe in teaching the breath support.
Yeah,
It's all about natural breath support. He
yeah,
said, and another person that I saw said, if you want to hear, or if you want to see the perfect breath support and how it's done, you take a 9-month-old baby
maybe that's right.
and make them cry.
Yeah,
Watch how they breathe.
man.
They can scream forever.
I use this analogy
They
all the time when I'm talking to young singers.
they do not tire.
Yeah,
They have perfect placement and perfect breath.
yeah.
That's all it is.
It's an
It really
evolutionary
is all
advantage.
that.
Like if you as a baby were capable of screaming yourself hoarse or crying yourself hoarse, well, that would kill you,
It
because you
would.
wouldn't, if you were in
Yeah.
danger,
You would
or
bleed right in.
yeah, you wouldn't. Well, you wouldn't be able to alert your mother or your father that
Right.
you were in
Right.
trouble. And
Right.
so it's really a very natural, like, self-preservation evolutionary
Yes.
component to be
Yes.
able to produce sound that way.
Right.
You know.
And anytime you've been in a restaurant and a 3-year-old has a tantrum, Man, they got the sound.
Yeah, you
They
know.
got the perfect placed sound.
Hey, hey, kid, get over here. Let me watch you. That's amazing.
That's right. Can you do that again? One more time. Thanks. Get out of here.
One of the things that I've
So
noticed
that's
that
it.
about being in the job and just sort of like the practicality of working is how much the internet and communication and those things have changed. And for somebody who like made your European debut in the '80s, which that was a different time.
Yeah. Wait.
I mean, like I don't. I think a lot of folks just don't know what that challenge. What was it like being in Europe, away from your family, away from your friends in the '80s? How did you keep in touch?
Yeah.
What did you do to sort of
Yeah.
stay sane?
Well, you really you had to parse out how many times. First of all, I didn't even talk to my wife every day. It was
Yeah,
impossible. It cost too much money.
yeah.
And
Bill was
this was
talking about he used to have $1,500 phone bills from that stuff.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if you were in a hotel and you used the telephone in the hotel, you would go broke. I mean,
yeah.
it might cost more than your room for that day.
Right.
But so I'm trying to remember when I think at that time we did have the Sprint or the Sprint calling card where you'd use the telephone in the room and then you'd have to call an international number
Yeah,
and they would connect you to an operator
yeah.
and then the operator would put you through. I don't know, it was like it was way cheaper than the hotel bills, but like I don't know, 50 cents a minute or something like
Standing
that.
at a phone
So
booth, in
yeah,
the rain.
exactly. Oh yeah, I remember doing that in Chautauqua, sure. But that was even long distance in the United States at that time.
Right,
You know,
right.
long distance in the US back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s was not cheap.
Mm-mm.
So anyway, yeah, so it was maybe if you're lucky just to say hi once a day and you know, walk around basically and you're always in rehearsal. So that's usually keeping you busy, but yeah, in the 80s was tough. And I had a little bit of an inauspicious debut in Nice I did the Pearl Fishers. And I was double cast. Like I said, it was Vincent Cole and the first cast was Barbara Hendricks, Vincent Cole, and who's the baritone? Alessandro Corbelli,
Oh,
if you
no
can
shit.
imagine. Yeah, Alessandro was singing Zurga. So that
Wow.
was pretty cool. Yeah. And the second cast was me, a lady named Guylaine Raffanel, who was a French lady, and Adib Fazah, who is an
Yeah.
Egyptian American baritone. He was fabulous. So the first cast did theirs, and then we were the next night, right? So the first entrance of Nadir, he comes. I don't know if you've done it. Have you done the piece before?
Never done it. No.
It's great for you. You should definitely do it. You should definitely sing Zurga. You'd be fantastic.
I mean, we've
Um,
all done the duet to death, you know?
yeah, the duet is right after the first entrance. Anyway, so he comes in and he comes over the mountains, and the chorus goes, "We dum da dee, they dum 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 dum," and you just "We Nadir." So my answer is I come up all over the mountains and I stand up and they chorus goes bum, 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 and I go "We." I cracked my first note. Yeah, and you hear the audience go, "Whoa,
Oh, it's going to be a long night.
whoa,
Oh, man. It's
not
got
good."
me.
Woo-hoo.
Boy, that will
Good
screw
luck,
with your
young man.
confidence off the bat, won't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's right. You see, they shudder a little bit, and all of a sudden, you page turning, right? Who was that in the program? What the hell was that all about? So that was my inauspicious debut in Europe. But it was okay from there. It was good.
yeah.
After that, it went fine. But yeah, so yeah, in the '80s was tough. But and I did a lot of work in France and not much in Italy, mostly France and Germany in the first part of
Yeah.
my career in those days.
Well, I mean, when I talked to guys that came, like, I didn't start really working even in the places I was working at until like the late '90s, early 2000s, right?
Yeah,
And the guys that were, sort of my age then, now, right? Like in their 40s, 50s. I mean, a lot of those guys went over to Europe. That's where they started. I mean, there was no young artist program
yeah,
really, And so
Right.
that was the, sort of the American training center, was to go to Europe and learn your shit and then come back.
Many many guys did that. Many people did that. I mean, people still do it. They're
Yeah.
going to because, of course, last year was horrible. Everybody was
Oh,
just
nightmare.
out of work completely. But in normal times, um, Germany and I think a couple of theaters in Austria have these fest contracts, where you
Mhm.
can go and you can be paid, and you have a weekly salary and you have your benefits covered, and you
Yep.
and you're basically you're a company
Retirement.
member. Yeah,
Weird.
and you could sing from anything from I don't know, Parpignol as a tenor to Rodolfo.
Yeah.
It depends on what they have for you, and it's a good way to get experience, and be get something on your feet, learn roles, and so you're engaged all the time. Not a lot of theaters like that in France and Italy. They tend to, there's not really repertory theaters like that outside of Germany and Austria.
I noticed
Um,
when I was in like Germany, and a house singer that's been there for 20 years or something
yeah,
would come on stage. It felt like a hometown baseball guy would come on because people would love them so much.
yeah, yeah,
Like there's this. I think there's a reticence in America because we want all of our variety, and we're afraid, oh, they're going to get tired of the same person. But what I found was, like, I was on stage with a guy and he'd been there for 20 25 years, and man, like, it was like he walked on water. And I'd hang out with him in town, and people would stop, and it was like, Derek Jeter was
really.
or something.
That's cool. That's very cool. I mean, yeah, but you're right. Especially in a smaller place, and the German opera houses. Gosh, there's every town's got an opera
Yeah,
house,
yeah,
and I mean, it might be a sea house, but still, they're working in a repertory,
yeah.
and people get a lot of experience doing that. And if you're living in Germany and you are guesting here and there, chances are you're going to have a jump in over there and a jump in over there, and there's a lot of opportunities if you're living in that area. But I never did that. I was always, I had agents who were getting me things. I have some really good opportunities though. I really sang with some fantastic singers, and I was very fortunate to do all the things that I did and have done, and really continuing on. And it's been so much fun to do this. You
Well,
can't
one of the
imagine.
things we end up doing is I mean, we sort of all develop our circle, right? And they're
Yeah,
the people that we. I mean, sometimes you can work with a person one time and never again, but like you always, they're like your buddy forever. And
absolutely.
who are some
Yeah.
of the people that over this 45-year career that have been there that whole time, and are people that still in your life and you still talk to and you still share war stories with, and how are those relationships developed over the years?
Yeah, it's been kind of cool. Gosh, I'll have to go back and
Yeah,
well,
now you're on the spot. You're going to forget somebody. They're going to get mad at you.
no, and I don't want to. It's mostly conductors in the past, the past 10, 15 years that I've seen more often. Because
Yeah,
again, you change a repertoire, and when you get out of that repertoire, you don't see them as often. But somebody like, gosh, Anna Piedrozzi, and Anna and I go back to when I started back in 2010, and with Verdi, and we've done all kinds of stuff together. In 2007, I at the Met, I did Puritani with Netrebko, so it was kind of the first kind of thing that she had done in the bel canto at that time. So that was kind of cool. Gosh, Michele Pertusi, we go back to 1992, and we made our debuts together in '92. Juan Diego and I go back to his debut in Pesaro as well. And who else? Gosh, well, I was I don't I hate the name drop, but but when I was at Compromario back in the '80s, sorry, '70s and '80s, the first 4 years, '78 through '82, I sang pretty much all Comprimarios at the Lyric Opera as part of their Young Artist program. But when you say Comprimario, meaning a secondary role, um, it didn't matter at that time because you were on stage with the most amazing people in the business.
yeah.
My first year, this is the first year I met Kraus. It was the second role that I did. my first role, I was the second Nazarene in Zalame. And Zalame was, are you ready? Grace Bumbry. Hello. That's
Whoa.
going back, but
Yeah.
just to name these people. And the second production I was in was Werther, and Kraus was Werther,
Yeah.
and I was Brühlmann, and Brühlmann has one word. I was in makeup for 45 minutes. I was on stage for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. but I got lucky that year, and I got to sing in a master class with him, and that's how we made their relationship. But and then the second year I was in Tristan and Isolde. I sang the shepherd in Tristan, which was the beginning of the third act, and John Vickers was Tristan. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, and what was the other thing I was in that year? Oh gosh.
Well,
Well,
you know,
anyway,
that kind of it piques a little question in my mind because, you know, like the relationship with your mentor mentee relationship with Alfredo Kraus, and now that you're that you've had all this experience. I mean, do you have young like guys from a younger generation that you sort of mentor and help navigate
I
this
I
crazy
talked to
business sometimes?
yeah, we have I call it it's called the tenor club. I mean, we all are in contact with each other. Camarena, John Osborne, Stel Suabelo, who else? Juan Diego, um, who else? Brian Hemel.
Oh yeah, Brian. Yeah,
That we do talk to each other. Mike Fabiano, and it's kind of fun to see these guys grow.
yeah,
And I'm really I love them all, and it's a completely different relationship that we all have with each other than two generations before us.
mhm.
There was a lot of competition. They sort of talked to each other, but they were always in competition with each other. And I made this uh, observation many years ago when I was, you're never, well, in Europe, very seldom is there one cast.
Right.
Many times, more times than not, there are at least two casts. In Madrid, except for your show,
Yeah,
when they do the big shows there, when you did Aida, when you did Trovatore, they did Otello, there are three casts. We
yeah,
did Norma, three
yeah,
casts. So we get along. We rehearse together.
mhm.
So you have to get along.
Yeah,
And there's not a competition because here's the deal. I've always said this. Just remember, you got the gig.
yeah,
You're going to get paid. Just go do your show.
yeah,
Don't worry about anybody else and support those guys that are doing it with you because it just makes everybody better. It's
yeah.
all for me. It has always been about the team. The team is the most important thing. You're all making a show. It's not just about one person. And when it is about one person, it
Well, I mean,
makes it
I've seen a
really
lot of
difficult.
shows at an unnamed house that's very popular here, and it looks like, they'll have a cast of like 4 or 6 principals, and it looks like 4 different shows depending on who's singing the aria or at the forefront. There's not, you see this sort of like, there's not the collaboration and the sort of joint storytelling. It's everybody's in their own little bubble. And boy, I find that so jarring as an audience member. And when I
Yeah,
see the cast coalesce and really all on the same page and working together and playing off of each other and really
right.
listening to each other when they're talking, it's like, oh, now I'm in. You guys brought me along.
Every master class that I've done in the past 10 years, two things. Don't sound like you just got out of the studio.
Yeah.
I need you to perform for me. Perform.
Hmm.
There's a big wall there from you being in the studio and singing like a god, you think,
Yeah.
and climb over that wall, jump down, and do a performance and
Yeah.
touch me with your audition, for example. But then when you're on stage, you gotta listen. You
Yeah.
gotta know what everybody's saying. If you don't, then we see you're not involved.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on, you know, and it could be even in a duet. It's so it's heartbreaking to me when I see somebody pouring their heart out and the partner is like, what the hell are you doing?
Keep up,
Bro.
keep up, keep up.
God. It's like, bro, you're getting paid for the whole show, not just the
I,
part that you just
I
said.
did a Mercutio once where I was laying there dead, and the tenor had a big high note coming, and I knew it was coming, and the whole time he's going, oh, under his breath, oh, like he's over my body, like supposedly going, oh, oh. Like, man, didn't you warm up before you got here? Like, what are you doing?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, and it really came to the forefront for me. I mean, because I singing bel canto forever, the tenor in the bel canto is like
Yeah,
not a lot of drama going on
yeah.
there. So you're basically
Look
there to
forlorn.
support, yeah, support the soprano,
Yeah,
sing along with her when it's time,
yeah,
and make her look good. That's your job.
yeah.
You'll get a part to shine. You'll get your aria and you'll be good. But when I started singing Verdi, and especially the more meaty parts,
Hmm.
Forza, Ballo in Maschera, and Otello especially. Otello is about listening. You got to know when you have to listen and when you don't listen.
Yeah,
You,
of
you
course.
know, it's really it's because it's really important. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's
I'll be standing
Shakespeare,
on
for
stage.
fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be standing on the stage, and we'll have the choruses on stage, and you're making these gestures to the chorus, and the chorus is like,
Oh man,
you say to the stage director, do they know what I just said to
you hate me?
them?
Are they trying to fuck with me right now?
Come on, man. Did you tell them what I'm saying to them?
Yeah,
Because
I've
if they
done some
knew,
English operas.
they would move out of the way. And I'm very fond of every chorus that I sing with because like my second year at the Lyric Opera in '79, I sang in the chorus. So I
Yeah,
was a member of the Lyric Opera chorus. And that was an experience. That was one of the best experiences
oh
of
man,
my whole career.
yeah,
To be able to be that camaraderie is amazing. You got 60 people on the stage who all know each other and who rehearse together during the season every day.
yeah.
And the only way what show it is when you walk into the dressing room and you see Traviata. Okay, it's Traviata tonight. You put the
Oh,
clothes on. That's the only way you know.
I
But
I lived in Chicago back in the early like sort of 2000s when Palumbo was the chorus master there.
mm, mm,
And man, I mean, I just that guy makes a chorus sound like I've never. It's like what you think opera
Donald,
choruses are supposed to sound.
yeah,
It's
exactly. Donald was
insane.
funny. I did a production of Trojans, like Les Troyens,
Yeah.
in the Châtelet in 2005. Wait, 2005, and it was John Elliott Gardner. He has his band and his chorus, right? So he
Mhm.
he brought his band and his chorus, and his chorus, the Monteverdi singers, is only 32 people,
Mhm.
so he had to augment with 30 more people, and so they were all French choristers and people. But he said the only person I trust with my choir besides myself is Donald Palumbo.
Yeah.
And Donald came in and trained them, and they were fabulous. Oh my
Yeah.
God! No, Donald's great. My goodness, he's terrific.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we had some good times
Yeah.
in the lyric opera. They were, pardon me. I remember Meistersinger. We had the big chorus dressing room upstairs, and I actually was one of the Meisters that year. So the chorus men and all the Meisters during the part that we weren't on stage, which was a long time.
Yeah.
Pizzas were coming up. We were
Oh yeah.
having pizza in costume. It was fantastic. Anyway,
Yeah, just kind of
yeah, you make
camaraderie you don't
friends
really get
forever.
as a principal. You don't have that sort of, you know,
You can, but I mean,
it's
they
just
really
it's rare.
kind of,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
you have to. I mean, everybody has to be in their own zone, and it's hard to do this and be in the middle, and everyone's looking at you, and sometimes people are waiting for you to fuck up. When you're in the
yeah.
chorus, there's a real sense of solidarity that
There's a
I kind
sense
of
of
miss.
solidarity, but you know what else? And that I always talk to the chorus.
Oh yeah,
This is one of my rituals before every performance. I will make my way down to the stage before they start and wish everybody in bocca lupo and have I say in bocca lupo e buon divertimento. Good luck and have fun. And I make sure that everybody hears me so that they know that I'm with them,
Yeah.
and it makes a huge difference. Because when you get them on your side, you can't go wrong. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They will lift you up. They will
Yeah.
definitely lift you up if they love you. And
No.
and I tell you, man, there's nothing like having the chorus behind you. I went, I had to fill in for Samson. This was in March of 2019 at the Met, and I hadn't sung at the Met for 12 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, they called me, and I came in the day of, and tenor was sick, and he actually sang the first act, and I came in the second act because he was ill and had to step away. So sang the second act, sang the third act, and came out for my bow, and the chorus started screaming, "Bravo!" I turned around and go, "Oh my God,
Now look,
that's the
that's
best applause ever."
because they know what the fuck they're talking about.
They see everything.
Everyone, and
They
they
sense
know what's good and
every
what ain't.
performance. Exactly.
I mean,
Man,
I don't really trust the audience sometimes. I mean, because
no,
I'm so self critical. I'm like, yeah, it was great, but you don't know. But those guys know.
exactly.
I mean,
They know everything.
and they
They
ain't
know
gonna lie to you
everything.
either.
There's nothing like the choir. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, man.
yeah.
The choir is the well. Look, have you ever done another role? You ever done Peter Grimes?
No, no.
You have, you have to do Belstrode. You got to do
Yeah,
it. If you've ever done Peter Grimes, you, there's no opera without the chorus.
yeah,
They
yeah,
are the opera.
yeah.
You've got some principals that run around, but the choir is everything.
Yeah.
And I just have so much respect having been in it for that year. It's always they're right here. So,
I'll tell you what, Greg. That's a testament to the guy you are. I'm glad we have folks like you in the business, and I know that there's.
thank you.
I mean, we talk about there's so much uh, opera stereotypes about divas and the fits and stuff, but it's having that sort of rapport with people, and that's the kind of people we love to have on the Quick because that's the kind of culture that I like to promote.
Thank
And I
you.
want to thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for coming on the show, Greg, and sharing some of your stories with us.
It's
It
been a
was
pleasure. It's been a
fantastic to
pleasure.
talk to you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
And we'll see you. I don't know when we'll see you. Thursday. I don't know.
yeah.
Definitely Friday.
I'll be sending my man to kill you soon. So
Yes. Yes. Tell him not to miss this time.
that's
Okay.
right. All right, brother.
All right. Great talking to you, man.
Thanks a lot,
Take
brother.
care. All
Bye.
right. Bye.